Football is a game of heroes, villains, and moments of pure magic. But what happens when that passion boils over and curdles into something much, much darker? What happens when the line between protest and outright assault is completely obliterated? From vicious shoves in the world's biggest games to bizarre acts of aggression you have to see to believe, these are the infamous attacks that led to monster bans, stained legacies, and left the footballing world speechless. Aleksandar Mitrović, the FA Cup meltdown, 2023. Let's start with a very recent moment that sent shockwaves through English football. The setting, Old Trafford, the theatre of dreams. It's a high-stakes FA Cup quarter-final between Manchester United and Fulham. With the game on a knife's edge, a chaotic sequence unfolds. A VAR check leads to a penalty for United and a red card for Fulham's Willian for a handball on the goal line. Fulham's players are fuming, but none more so than their star striker, Aleksandar Mitrović. As referee Chris Kavanagh is dealing with the aftermath, Mitrović completely loses his composure. He storms towards the official, screaming, his face contorted with rage. And then, he does the unthinkable. He aggressively shoves the referee, bumping him backward. It's not a slight touch, it's a clear, deliberate act of physical defiance. Kavanagh immediately brandishes another red card. Mitrovic's day is over, but his nightmare is just beginning. The standard 3-game ban was thrown out by the Football Association, who deemed it clearly insufficient. They came down on him like a ton of bricks, handing him an 8-game ban that effectively torpedoed his and Fulham's season. It was a moment of madness that ignited a fierce debate about the epidemic of referee abuse in the modern game. Cristiano Ronaldo, the shove seen around the world, 2017. It takes a lot to upstage a goal in El Clásico, the biggest club match on the planet, but Cristiano Ronaldo managed to do just that. The year is 2017. The game is the Spanish Super Cup, Real Madrid versus Barcelona. Ronaldo, coming off the bench, scores an absolute screamer to give his side the lead. In his iconic celebration, he rips his shirt off, earning a cheap but predictable yellow card. Minutes later, the drama explodes. Ronaldo goes down in the penalty area under a challenge. The referee, Ricardo de Burgos Bengoechea, sees no foul. Instead, he sees a dive. He reaches into his pocket and pulls out a second yellow card. Ronaldo is stunned. He throws his hands up in disbelief. He is off. But as he walks away, seething with injustice, he reaches out and gives the referee a firm shove in the back. It wasn't a violent, malicious attack, but it was crystal clear. A global icon had deliberately put his hands on an official in the most watched fixture in football, a cardinal sin. The consequences were swift. On top of the 1-game ban for the red card, the Spanish Federation slapped him with an additional 4-match suspension for the push. It was a rare and shocking crack in the superstar's ice-cool composure, proving that even the greatest can lose their heads in the heat of the Clásico. Arda Turan, the boot throw, 2015. Some players scream, some players shove. Arda Turan, playing for Atletico Madrid in a fiery Copa del Rey match against Barcelona, decided to take a more creative approach. After being tackled near the sideline, Turan lost his boot. Furious that the foul wasn't given, he didn't just gesture or shout. He calmly picked up his brightly colored cleat and in a moment of sublime madness, furiously launched it over his head in a perfect arc, directly in the direction of the nearby linesman. The boot sailed past the official's head, missing him by a few feet. It was a surreal, almost comical display of rage. It wasn't a direct assault, but it was the next best thing, launching a projectile at an official. Incredibly, the referee only showed him a yellow card, a decision that left many viewers stunned. The incident instantly became an internet meme, the perfect symbol of a player losing his mind in the most outlandish way possible. It cemented Arda Turan's place in the Hall of Fame of bizarre football meltdowns. After all, it's not every day you see a professional footballer attempt to weaponize his own footwear. Pepe, the Beast Uncaged, 2009. This next one is less of a single, calculated attack on a referee, and more of a complete and terrifying loss of human control where the official was caught in the whirlwind.
Which in itself just seems to fly in the face of any common sense or moral standing that they may feel that they.
For years, Real Madrid defender Pepe was known as one of football's hardest men, but his 2009 meltdown against Getafe was something else entirely. After fouling an opponent in the box and giving away a late-game penalty, something inside Pepe snapped. He violently kicked the grounded player, not once, but twice. The referee, Delgado Ferreiro, immediately showed him a straight red card, but Pepe was just getting started. As players from both teams tried to intervene, Pepe became a rampaging force of pure rage. He struck another opponent in the face and had to be physically restrained and dragged away by his own teammates, all while screaming insults at every official in sight. The referee wasn't the primary target of his physical violence, but he was the authority figure who became utterly powerless in the face of a player who had gone completely feral. The fallout was monumental. The Spanish FA handed him a 10-match ban, one of the longest in La Liga history for on-field violence. The incident cemented his reputation as football's ultimate villain and stands as a chilling example of what happens when a player's rage goes far beyond the limits of the sport. Of course, here are 4 additional entries, researched and written in the same format and style for your video. Neymar, the post-game confrontation, 2021. Superstar petulance doesn't always end with the final whistle. In April 2021, Paris Saint-Germain was locked in a bitter, top-of-the-table clash against Lille, a match that would prove decisive in the League One title race. PSG's megastar, Neymar, had a nightmare of a game. His frustration boiled over in the 90th minute when he needlessly shoved an opponent, earning a second yellow card. But his anger didn't stay on the pitch. As the teams headed down the tunnel after a painful 1-0 loss, the confrontation continued. Footage captured Neymar still trying to get at the Lille player he'd been sent off for tangling with. As referee Benoit Bastien stood between them trying to de-escalate, an enraged Neymar put his hands on the official and gave him a clear shove to try and get past him. It was a moment that perfectly encapsulated Neymar's day, defeated, dismissed, and utterly unable to control his temper. It was less of a violent attack and more of a complete emotional unraveling from one of the world's most expensive players, showing the world that in the agony of a high-stakes defeat, even a global icon can come undone. Sergio Aguero, the controversial touch, 2020.
I'd like to see a little bit more. I think Musty's mentioned that. With a centre-back.
Not all attacks are violent. Some are insidious, crossing a line of respect in a way that sparks a different kind of outrage. In October 2020, Manchester City legend Sergio Aguero created a firestorm of controversy for his interaction with assistant referee Sean Massey Ellis. During a match against Arsenal, Aguero was disputing a throw-in decision he felt should have gone his way. As Massey Ellis walked away from him, he approached her from behind and put his hand on her shoulder and neck area while continuing to argue. It wasn't a shove or a strike, but the backlash was immediate and fierce. The act was seen as incredibly patronizing and inappropriate. The unwritten rule is simple. You do not put your hands on an official. The fact that it was a male superstar doing it to a female official added another layer to the controversy, with many pundits and fans calling it an act of condescending intimidation. While he escaped official punishment from the FA, the court of public opinion was less forgiving. It was a hugely debated moment that served as a stark reminder that any unwanted physical contact with a referee is a line that should never be crossed. Salih Dursun, the player who red-carded the ref, 2016. In the long history of players losing their minds, most confrontations end one way, with the referee holding all the power. But in one of the most surreal and defiant moments in modern football, a player decided to flip the script and seize power for himself.
Trabzonspor players remonstrated with the referee, and in the fracas, Trabzonspor defender Salih Dursun pinched the referee's red card.
The setting was a notoriously fiery Turkish Super League match between Galatasaray and Trabzonspor in February 2016. The game was already descending into chaos, with Trabzonspor down to 9 men after a controversial late-game penalty was awarded to their opponents. The atmosphere was a powder keg waiting for a final spark. As Trabzonspor players furiously protested the penalty decision against teammate Luis Cavanda, the referee, Deniz Ateş Bitnel, dropped his red card. Seeing his chance, midfielder Salih Dursun snatched it off the grass. In a moment of pure, legendary audacity, he ran towards the referee, held the card high in the air, and brandished it at the official, gesturing for him to leave the pitch. For a few stunning seconds, the player had become the law. The referee, shocked, snatched the card back and immediately used it on its wielder, sending Dursun off. It was Trabzonspor's fourth red card of the night. The fallout from the anarchic clash was immense. Trabzonspor had to finish the game with just 7 men on the pitch, and the incident sparked a national debate about the game's credibility. While Dursun was banned, he was hailed as a hero by his club's fans, a symbol of rebellion against perceived injustice. What's the most shocking player attack you've ever witnessed? Did we miss any? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments. And if you enjoyed this deep dive, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more stories like these. Thanks for watching.